Hey guys, welcome to lesson 1.2, and today we will be discussing geometric and non-geometric comparisons. And in total, you will be given 17 questions on this topic. 9 will be geometric comparisons, and 8 of them will be non-geometric comparisons. So in both these questions, you will either be given 3 geometric figures, or you'll be asked to draw 3 geometric figures, or you'll be given 3 number statements, and you're going to be asked quantitative questions about the statements or figures. It's usually going to be asking you which one's bigger than, greater than, less than, etc. So I'm going to skip the sample questions and just discuss how we're going to approach these answers. How are we going to get these answers? So the first thing we're going to do is take the question in steps, one at a time, because we don't want to get confused and start mixing up our numbers. And the best thing in working in steps is to solve parts A, B, and C separately. And you'll see what I mean by this in a minute. And if you work out each problem correctly, you can easily rule out the incorrect answer choices by determining which are true and which are false based on the answers that you found when you were working out the problems. So we'll be going over quite a bit of sample problems today, but it is to help you understand. So the first one, we're given 3 figures, and it is telling us to examine them and find the best answer. So let's look. We see that each of them has 8 little boxes inside. This one, in figure A, half of the little boxes are shaded, which is 4/8. In the second one, there's also half of the boxes shaded. Even though it's a little spread out, it's still 1/2 shaded. And then in part C, well, figure C, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 8 boxes shaded, which is a little bit more than 1/2. So just looking at the figures, we can see that C is more shaded than figures A and B. So now let's look at our answer choices. Number A says A is more shaded than B, and we know it's wrong because they're shaded the same amount, 1/2. B is saying B is more shaded than C. We know this is wrong because figure B is shaded 1/2 and C is shaded 5/8, which is a little bit more than 1/2. C is saying C is more shaded than A. That's true because A is also shaded 1/2, C is shaded 5/8, and 5/8 is more than 1/2. And then we know that A and C are not equally shaded because C is shaded more. So our answer for this first problem is option C. And that was an example of a geometric comparison question, meaning you will either be given figures or asked to draw figures. But this next problem is more quantitative, which means we're solving for what we're comparing. So it's telling us the same thing, examine A, B, and C and find the best answer. So we're given 3 mini problems, you could say, and the first thing we need to do is to solve them in steps. So A is telling us 2 times 2 plus 2. Well, that's pretty easy to solve. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So 2 times 4 equals 8. That's what A equals. So B is giving us 14 divided by 2, which we know is 7. And C is 3 times 1 plus 2. 1 plus 2 equals 3. So 3 times 3 equals 9. So here we took the problems in steps, and we worked out each of the problems separately. That's the most important thing to do, and then when we've done that, we can look at our options and start comparing it based on the answers we found here. So option A is telling us B is greater than A. Well, we know it's wrong because 8 is greater than 7, not the other way around. Option B is saying C is less than A. That's also wrong because 9 is greater than 8, not the other way around. Option C is saying B is less than A, but greater than C. Well, B is less than A, but 7 isn't greater than 9, so that's wrong. Option D is saying C is greater than A or B, and we know that's right because 9 is greater than 7 and 8. So for this problem, option D is correct. So as you can see, it's the same methodology. We're comparing figures or options A, B, and C, and then examining our options and seeing which one is true and which ones are false based on what we're given. So very similar. So those sample problems were from the study guide that is linked in the channel description on page 4. And right now I'm just going to do a couple more practice problems, sorry for the zooming, that is found on Varsity Tutors, that is linked on the very last page of the study guide, and they have way more problems than I'm about to do, so I really encourage you guys to go ahead on your own time to check out their website and do some more on your own, because the more practice, the better. So first question is examine A, B, and C and find the best answer. So the first one is telling us it's 0.75. Option B is 1/2 of 1.5, and option C is 3/4. So we know that 3/4 is equivalent to 0.75, and the way I like to think about this is in quarters. 1/4 equals 25 cents, and 4/4 is $1, and let's think about 3/4. If each one is 25 cents, then 3 of them is 0.75. So 0.75 is 3/4, and 3/4 is also 3/4. That's just how I like to think about it, but whichever way works for you is best. Then it's telling us 1/2 of 1.5. Well, sticking with the theme of the quarters, well, 1.5 can be thought about as $1.50. We know that 4/4 are $1, and then we need another 2/4 to make 50 cents. So in total, we would have 6/4 to equal $1.50. And 1/2 of 6/4 would be 3/4. And we already know that 3/4 equals 0.75, which means options A, B, and C are all equal to each other, and that is option choice 2. A, B, and C are equal. Next problem is asking us the same thing, and now we are doing a little bit more solving than the last one. So A is telling us the square root of 121. You should know off the bat that equals 11, and if you don't, I'll do a lesson later on square roots. Just know that that is something you will need to memorize and know right off the bat. So B, 1/20 of 200. So now we need to do a little bit of solving, and here's how I like to figure out questions like this. 1/20 equals what of 200? And I like to set it up like this. That's how my teachers taught it to me. And now we're solving for x. So we do cross multiplication. So 1 times 200 over 20. 20, it gives us 10, which is our x. So B equals 10. Then our last option choice, C, is the average of 5 and 15. This is fairly easy. We're adding the two values given, divided by the total amount of numbers, 2, and that should give us 10, because 5 plus 15 equals 20, over 2 equals 10. So options B and C both equal 10, and options A equals 11. Again, I will explain how to solve for the average and how we solve number B, well, option B. I will do separate videos on how to solve these kinds of problems, but for now, just go with it. So let's look at our option choices. A is greater than B, and B is greater than C. Well, A is greater than B, but B isn't greater than C because B and C are the same. So let's look for an answer choice where B and C are equal. Well, this last choice says B and C are equal. So does the second one. But this second choice also says that A is equal to B and C, and we know that's not true because A is greater than, because 11 is greater than 10. So the answer for this problem is option choice D. A is greater than B, and B is equal to C. Moving on, here is our geometric comparisons, but the thing is, not every question will provide you with the figure. I did because I'm nice, but the test isn't as nice, and you will probably have to draw most of the figures yourselves. So the first one is telling us we have a perimeter of a square with a side length of 5. So I can't draw on my computer screen for you guys, but if you'd like to follow along and draw on a piece of paper as I talk, feel free to do so, or picture it in your head because that's what I'm doing now. So I know a square has 4 sides, and a perimeter is talking about adding the lengths of the 4 sides. And we're told that the side length is 5. So a square, in squares, all side lengths are the same, so I know to add 5 4 times, and that gives us 20. In part B, option B, we're told the perimeter of a rectangle, which means that 2 sides will be longer than another 2 sides, and we're giving the lengths of both, so it's fairly easy. All we're doing is adding the sides again, and that also gives us 20, a perimeter of 20. So now option choice C, we're told of the perimeter of an equilateral triangle has a side length of 7. So the key thing to know here is that an equilateral triangle is sort of like a square. All the sides are the same side lengths. And we know a triangle has 3 sides, so we're adding 7 3 times, and this equals 21. So looking at what we've done, we can see that options A and B have the same value, and C has a larger value. So if we look at our option choices, this first one is telling us A and B are equal and C is equal to B, and that's correct. So our answer to this our third problem is the first option. And here is our last practice problem, and this one is slightly harder than the rest, but it's the same concept. So part A is option A. I keep getting confused, sorry guys. Option A is telling us that the area of the circle with a diameter of 18. Alright, so we're told that our D diameter equals 18 in option A. In option B, we're told the area of a circle with a radius of 3 to the power of 2. So 3 to the power of 2 is just another way of writing 3 times itself. And we know that 3 times 3 equals 9. And here's a little trick. We need to know a connection between parts A and B. The radius is 1/2 of the diameter, or D equals 2R. So if we're told in option B that our radius is 3 to the power of 2, or 9, then our diameter is 9 times 2, which equals 18. So all what we did there is a little bit of converting. So we have diameters for both of these. So D equals 2R equals 9 times 2. Hopefully that clarifies that a little bit, the work I just added here. So in the last option, we're told that the area of a circle with a circumference of 54 pi over 3. Alright, so this one is, again, a little bit of a trick to it, but it is still fairly easy. So the area of a circle is 54 pi over 3, and there's a little trick here. Well, not really a trick, but you should recognize that 54 can be divided by 3, and that equals 18. So our answer, our simplified answer to this is 18 pi, and then you should know that our circumference formula equals D times pi, the diameter times pi. So if our C equals 18 pi, then we should know that if we divide both sides by pi, we will get our D diameter, which equals 18. So it's a little bit tricky because you do need to know quite a bit of geometry, especially relating to circles, but that is something I'll make a video on later on, as I mentioned before. But what we do know is that the diameters for options A, B, and C are all 18. So looking at our option choices, we see the last option tells us A equals B equals C, which is the correct answer for this problem. Again, I encourage you to go on Varsity Tutors, do more practice problems for yourself, and see you guys in the next video. Thank you.